Good morning, class. Today I'm going to teach you how to do the fitness junction, the first couple transactions, 1 through 12. As we do this, you're going to need two booklets. You're going to need the light blue booklet that says instruction sheets for source documents, it's a thin little booklet, and then you need the big purple booklet that says source documents booklet, fitness junction. All right, when we get started, you're also going to need to turn to page 2 because that's where it's all going to start. And then in your source document booklet, you can just open to the first page, and it's going to have forms 1 and 2 in there. Now, a little background on what you see in front of you as far as the spreadsheets are concerned. These can be accessed and made a copy of if you go to Google Forms, or I'm sorry, Google Classroom, um, and then just go in there and go File, make a copy. Uh, Currently, you have these items in your spreadsheet. You've got chart of accounts, which lists all the accounts you could possibly use to journalize. No other accounts will work. These are the only ones you can use. There's a check stub register. This is where you will write your checks, and you can see there's been a couple checks written in here. You can do deposit slips. When you receive checks from other companies, you will put them in here as well as in your cash receipts journal. And then when you have a cash and credit card sales document, that total will go right here, and that will give you a total deposit that you will then put in your check stub register. It actually goes, when you have a deposit, right here. Looks like this, and it says amount deposited. Okay, but we'll get more into that as we go through. After deposit slips, you have two different subsidiary ledgers. You have an AR ledger for accounts receivable accounts, and you have an AP ledger right here for accounts payable accounts. Um, those are postings that'll occur as you go through. The only people you can post to are the people in these accounts. There's none that you're going to add. So if you aren't sure who you're supposed to be posting to, you can always come over here and look at these accounts and see who you actually have available. All right. There's also a general ledger for all your general journal column transactions, like your expenses, your insurance, cash, petty cash. Now you got to remember, a lot of the items for cash are going to be column totals that get posted. So cash isn't going to have a high volume of transactions this time because you're going to wait till you get to the end of the month and then you're going to post a column total. Makes life a lot easier. In addition to that, the journals you will be using: the sales journal, the purchases journal, the cash payments journal, cash receipts journal, and you will have some general journal transactions as well. They're going to be fewer and further between. Many of your general journal transactions will occur towards the end of the period or in special situations, like correcting an entry. Everything beyond that has to do with income statement and financial statements and things like that that will happen at the end of the period. So we're going to focus on forms 1 through 12. And so let's go ahead and get started. The first form, if you are looking at form 1, it also says in your instructions exactly what to do. It tells you this is a sales invoice. It talks about the sales tax percentage, although they've already calculated it for you. And if you go to your sales journal, because that's where it tells you to go, you'll notice there's going to be a formula already put in here, and it'll already do the calculation for you. So the only number that you really have to put in is this one over here, where it says sales credit. This number is actually the subtotal from the sales invoice. So if you're looking at your invoice, and it says we are Fitness Junction, so that's what our Fitness Junction sales invoice looks like, and we sold to Leon Morales on the 1st, and it's sales invoice 936. All right, so as we go on and look at the invoice, it has a subtotal of $1,778.35. I'm going to put that here. I'm going to hit enter, and that'll automatically calculate. I've put a formula in to calculate the sales tax, and then these two items added together equal your accounts receivable debit. This amount is what you're going to go post to the accounts receivable ledger for Leon Morales. Once you've done that, you can bring an X or his account number back here, and you can show that you have posted. So let's go to the accounts receivable ledger and look at that. Here it is. We're already at Leon Morales. It's December 1st, the second one here. It came from the sales journal, so we put S1. It was a debit, so we put it right here, 1885.05. and then the column total already gets added up because there's a formula put in, and it adds because you have two like parts. You have one debit here and one debit there. All right, Form 2. We're ready to move on to Form 2. If you're looking in your instruction booklet, again, it gives you some instructions, tells you what to do. It says this time we're dealing with a purchase invoice from a vendor, and so we're going to go to the purchases journal. A purchase is very easy to record. It is very simple, and it shows if you look at A1 Fitness Equipment is who we're dealing with here. There's the main heading, and it says sold to Fitness Junction. That's us. So we're going to come over here, and on December 1st, it has a little stamp in the top right where it says receive 12/1 and it has P842. Whenever you see that, that's what you're going to look at for your purchase invoices. And that's also to indicate what day you're going to record this. You couldn't have recorded it before because you haven't received it till now. So 12/1, we're going to put December 1st here. We're going to use A1 Fitness as the account we're crediting because we're buying from them on account. P842 is our purchase order number. I've put all those in because they will literally go in order. So you can keep an eye out for the next one and the next one and the next one. And if it doesn't have it, then it's not a purchase order. Okay. So with that being said, I've already posted this. That's why there's an X here, but you have to actually go post to A1 Fitness in the accounts payable ledger. And the amount is for the invoice total of $4168.86. So to see that in the accounts payable ledger, I'm going to go over here to AP Ledger. We'll go up to the top because A1 Fitness is in alphabetical order. It's at the top. You'll notice again, December 1st. It came from the purchases journal, so I put P1. It was a credit, so 4168.86 gets credited. There was a previous credit that came over as a balance, so that was already in there. I put that in there for you. So that would add up over here in the credit column. So you have a new balance of $10,184.11. That's Forms 1 and 2. Let's move on to Form 3. Form 3, it says, is a rent bill. So we got to issue a check. To issue checks, we first go to cash payments because that's where we pay for things with cash. And on the first here, we have rent expense. We're going to use check 902 because that's what it asks us to do in the book here. The next thing we're going to look at is 6160. That's our post reference. Again, we haven't posted yet, or you haven't posted yet probably, so you need to make sure you go back and post. I already have, so my 6160 is here. $1,000 is going to be general debited because we're using rent expense, and that's a general account. It's a general journal account, or a general ledger account, I'm sorry. And then also, every time you use the cash payments journal, cash is affected in some way. We didn't have any credits, no accounts payables involved here, and there was no discounts. So it's going to be $1,000 over to cash credit, and that's as simple as that as far as a journal entry goes. When you post, you go out to your general journal, or I'm sorry, your general ledger. Got to go back. General ledger. We're going to go find rent expense. It's towards the bottom because expenses are the last numbered accounts. There it is, 6160. And you'll see that I've posted December 1st. It came from the cash payments journal, so CP1 for $1,000. That added to the previous balance that was there for rent, bringing us to $12,000, which makes sense because we're in December and we've already paid 11 months of rent before that. Okay. Next up, if you go to Form 4, it's another sales invoice. So we can go to our sales journal, and this time we sold to Amy Zellner. Exact same process. You plug the subtotal number in here, it does the calculation, and then you go post to the accounts receivable journal. All right, we'll keep rolling. Form 5 is another purchases journal transaction. We got a purchase invoice. This time it's from the Yelton Brothers. So on December 1st, from the Yelton Brothers, P843, record the amount of the invoice total, 830.04, and then go post to the accounts payable ledger. All right, Form 6. Form 6, it looks like or is similar to Form 5, but it's different. It says in a little stamp on the bottom left, issue check. We're actually paying off what we've previously purchased from the Yelton Brothers, even though we just purchased from them on the previous transaction. There's a constant flow of purchasing and paying off, and this is showing that. So this time you're going to go to your cash payments journal for Form 6, and you're going to write a check to the Yelton Brothers, C903, and you're going to journalize in here accounts payable debit, because we're paying them off for their accounts payable that we owed them. And then we're going to put 240360 here because that's how much cash we're paying them. If you want to see what that looks like in the ledger, we'll go to the accounts payable ledger and I'll show you. One more here. Looks, let's see, we need to find Yelton Brothers there at the bottom. There we go. All right, there it is. On the second, CP1, we had 240360. And look, before we had purchased that, where it became a payable to us, and now we're paying it off. So that should zero those two amounts out, and you would have left the 830.04 that we just purchased. Piece of information I'd left out was that you need to record anytime you issue a check. You need to record that amount in your check stub register. So previously, in our cash payments journal, so far as I've been talking with you, we have done the rent expense, we have done Yelton Brothers, but we didn't put it in the check stub register. So I'm going to go back to the check stub register. And in here, using that information, you'll put however much the amount was for here, the date, who the check is to, what it was for. In this case, it was December rent. And then there should be a formula that automatically populates this $1,000 where it says amount this check to resemble this same number up here. Okay, these numbers should be identical. There should be formulas also plugged in to where it'll automatically do the math to calculate these subtotals. There is no deposit, so this didn't change. And then there were no bank charges, so this number automatically comes down. You had an amount this check, so then it's subtracted because when you write a check, it takes away from your cash, so that updates the new balance carried forward. That balance gets brought forward to here, and then you write your next check, which was this one is for the Yelton Brothers. That's check 903. Again, you're putting the date, who it was to, what it was for. And it'll keep going with that pattern. Every time you put something in cash payments, you need to come out to your check stub register and plug it into here as well. Okay, so just giving you a heads up on that. There are a couple special situations where you have an entry in the cash payments and it doesn't require you to fill out the check portion, and I'm going to show you that next. Like, it doesn't go here, it actually goes as bank charges. That's Form 7 and 8. So we're going to show you what Form 7 and 8 do as far as recording. So if you'll turn to Form 7 and 8, we're going to go to the cash payments journal because we're giving up cash for these two things, but we're not having to write a check. So over here, there is memos on the second for both of these items, for miscellaneous expense and for credit card fee expense. This is for Form 7. This is for Form 8. You're going to put M786 because it was the memo is the source document, not a check here. These are posted already, so that was the post reference. You'll have to post those to the general column or the general ledger. Because they're general accounts, their amounts will go here. Because they're expenses, you got $17.90 and you got $535.65. That is also what the cash amount will be represented as, and then you would go post to the general ledger. In addition to that, you're going to have to go impact your check stub because you have some bank charges here. So we're going to go out to our check stub register. We're going to scroll down. This would have happened during this check stub. So over here where it says bank charges, we have a service charge or S.C. and you put $17.90, and then you have a credit card fee, $535.65. That gets plugged in here. Okay. I understand there's a lot of other numbers here. We have a deposit that's coming up. You'll see that here in a moment. All right. So once you plug these in and you've posted, that transaction Form 7 and 8 are finished. We will then go to the next two set of forms, 9 and 10. Forms 9 and 10 are checks that people have written to us. They are paying us. Every time you get checks that someone is paying us for, it'll have an R453 for receipt, 453 and R54. These go in the cash receipts journal. All right. So I'm going to go find the cash receipts journal, and they would look something like this. December 2nd, they were both on the 2nd, so I recorded them at the same time. And then I put R453 and R454. One was for Bay Point Athletic Club. One came from Megan Oakley. The accounts receivable credit because they're paying us, so that's going to decrease what they owe us now. And then we receive that as cash. A check is the same as cash. The other place I want you to put this before you deposit this information or before you put it in the general ledger, I want you to deposit it. So go to your deposit slips